Well, everyone, our last lesson for Unit 4. And today we're going to learn a little bit about landscapes. We'll also play around with page 3 and 2 of your reference tables. So first here we have a relief image of the United States, and you can see on the image that there are definitely different types of landscapes. I'm looking along the East Coast. You'll see lots of mountains piled up in this area, mainly the Appalachians, the Adirondacks. Here's the Appalachians, the Green Mountains in Vermont, the White Mountains in New Hampshire, and then you'll see this big empty space here. This area here is the Great Plains, which we'll learn a little bit about. And then in the western part of the United States, it gets pretty complicated. Of course, we have the Rocky Mountains, which kind of run all the way up to Canada that way. And then we have the basin and range areas, the Colorado Plateau over in this area, and some more mountains off in California, and the Coastal Range here, the Sierra Nevadas, and then we also have the Cascades running up here. So lots and lots of differences throughout the United States. Landscapes. The result from the battle between uplifting forces and leveling forces. I like to think about this as everything we learned in Unit 3 in plate tectonics, which is building the earth up higher, versus what we're learning in this unit, erosion and deposition, which is wearing the earth down flat. And that constant battle between the two forces creates landscapes. So here we see the uplifting forces, and they're winning currently. But over time, the leveling forces, if the uplifting stops or slows down, will start to win out. And the landscapes will lower, become more rounded, flatter. The low spots start to fill in. And eventually, kind of become what we have around here. And this can all change too, because you could have uplifting forces rejuvenate and create a whole new mountainous landscape, which then starts the process over again. So first landscape we'll talk about, mountains. Mountains have high relief and distorted rock structure. All right, what's high relief mean? It means lots of ups and downs, large changes in elevation. I know you've heard of relief maps. We have some in the classroom here. True mountains don't have horizontal layering, don't have blocky, chunky, jointed, and have blocky, chunky, jointed, or distorted structures. This is Whiteface Mountain in the Adirondacks. One area that we call mountains, the Catskill Mountains, actually aren't true mountains. They're really a plateau, which we'll get to plateaus in a moment, that's been dissected. They have horizontal rock structure. View from the high peaks, top of Whiteface Mountain, looking down, Mirror Lakes on the left. And up in Alaska, some more mountains. Okay, the next landscape region, plains. Lowlands, they have low relief. That means not lots of ups and downs. Low elevations, so they're not that far above sea level, comparatively speaking. And horizontal rock structures, so the rocks are relatively flat in relation to each other. And here we have the Great Plains in the central part of this map, and the central lowlands. This area of the United States is really flat. I mean, you can go for miles and miles and miles and just see nothing but just fields of corn, mountains. For someone who's from the East Coast with lots of hills, it's an eerie place to be the first time you go there. Here's some bison on the Great Plains. On the Great Plains, Lewis wrote of immense bison herds in every direction and says the bison were so gentle that we passed near them without appearing to excite any alarm. And of course, these are the grasslands, the prairie in the central U.S. Now, sometimes plains incur heavy flooding. It depends on where they're located, close to rivers or not. But that might be a good thing sometimes. Provides fertile new soil to deposit. But it can be bad, obviously, in this case. Kills the corn. All right, the next landscape region are the plateaus. These are uplands with medium relief, because they have to get up there. Higher elevations, so they're up above sea level more than plains, and the rock structure is horizontal. And what we're looking at here in this picture is, in red or orange, is the Colorado Plateau, which exists in 4 states: Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona. And the Colorado Plateau, this uplifted area, has created all kinds of really cool geologic features, which many of you should, if not all of you, should get out west at some point and check some of these places out. Lots of our national parks are located within the Colorado Plateau area. There's a picture of the Grand Canyon, part of the Colorado Plateau. It's been eroded by the Colorado River, which you can see in the picture right here, snaking its way. You can't see it around the bend, but that one little river created this entire huge canyon. It's amazing. And here's a picture of yours truly at the Grand Canyon. And you can see a nice shot here of the Colorado River and some rapids right there. And you can see in the top of the picture, it's really flat, and you can see all the horizontal layering of the rocks. Also, you'll notice some of the things we learned about previously in this unit, how some of the rocks are more gently sloped and some are steeper. Remember, different hardnesses create different slopes. The harder rock are the steeper slopes. Small plateaus, like this one in this picture, are called mesas. Perhaps you remember the Spanish term, what mesa means. And even smaller ones than this are called buttes. In the Catskills, our rocks are horizontal in nature. It is part of the Appalachian Plateau. It's called mountains because they've been dissected by so much running water, so they look like mountains. Another shot of that. Which statement can best explains why these 2 landscape regions are different in appearance? And it shows the same bedrock structure in both appearances, landscape A and B, same underlying bedrock, but completely different surface topography. The surfaces look different. And let's go through the choices here. We're basically looking for something here which is going to make this more rounded, and we know water tends to do that. And this right-hand picture, landscape B, looks more like the Grand Canyon, which is a very arid or dry location. Remember, water tends to round things, and lack of it tends to keep it more angular in appearance. So the best choice here looks like choice 3, because landscape A is humid, landscape B is dry. Moving on. This is the United States map actually labeling all these landscape regions with specific names. And you can see there's just too many to count. But it is an interesting map, and perhaps after this slideshow we can take a look at it. New York State has plenty of landscape regions. Perhaps you can look at some of these numbers and identify what they are. I bet you if you had your reference tables, you could definitely identify all of them. But we'll be taking a look right now. So we got the Adirondacks, the Tug Hill Plateau, the Allegheny Plateau, the Catskills, Hudson-Mohawk Lowlands, Taconic Mountains. There's some ones that go off of New York State, like the New England Province Highlands. We don't look at that too much. The Hudson Highlands, Manhattan Prong, Newark Lowlands sticks a little bit into New York State there. The Atlantic Coastal Plain, Long Island, is in there. And we can't forget the Erie, Ontario Lowlands over in western New York, and the St. Lawrence Lowlands up in northern New York, and the Champlain Lowlands on the border with Vermont. So we got all kinds of landscape regions in New York. It's a very interesting state in that respect. Now, once in a while you'll be asked questions where you have to kind of compare those landscapes on the previous page to this. And this will show you different rock types. Down here, geologic periods and eras in New York State. It'll give you the periods in history, which we'll get into in the next unit, that these rocks were created. The types of rocks in these landscape regions are always over here. And it even tells you whether it's metamorphic, intensely metamorphic, or sedimentary for these landscapes. And of course, we'll be kind of covering some of this in Unit 5. but it's good to know that you can find this information out and go back and forth between the two maps. And that is it. Hopefully you'll learn something about landscapes.